Hello friends, today we will learn about second messenger CAMP. A second messenger is a substance that is released in the cytoplasm following activation of a receptor. It is non-specific and can generate a variety of responses in the cell. CAMP is an example. CAMP is synthesized by an integral membrane protein adenylyl cyclase using ATP as a substrate. Adenyl cyclase can be activated or inactivated by different G proteins following the binding of an inhibitory or stimulatory ligand to G protein coupled receptors. Now come to let's know about glucose mobilization. Glucose is stored in animal cells as glycogen, an insoluble polymer. The enzyme phosphorylase catalyzes glycogen breakdown, while glycogen synthase catalyzes polymerization. Regulation is achieved by several hormones such as glucagon and epinephrine. Glucagon from the pancreas and epinephrine from the adrenal medulla. Binding of epinephrine or glucagon to their receptors activates adenyl cyclase. CAMP binds to the regulatory subunit of protein kinase A, PKA, causing the release of the catalytic subunit. PKA phosphorylates and inhibits glycogen synthase. PKA phosphorylates and activates phosphorylase kinase, which then phosphorylates and activates phosphorylase. PKA also translocates to nucleus where it phosphorylates the transcription factor CREB. Phosphorylated CREB binds to the CRE enhancer activating genes involved in gluconeogenesis. Amplification. Because of the concentration of hormones in the blood is very low, the signal has to be amplified. Binding of a signal ligand stimulates a large number of adenyl cyclases, is producing a large number of CAMPs. Each two CAMPs activates a PKA, which in turn phosphorylates a number of other proteins and so on. Now come to termination. Termination is of the signal involves phosphatase stage 1, which removes phosphates groups from the different enzymes. Its activity is regulated by inhibitory 1, which itself is activated by PKA because CAMP is continually degraded. When the hormone dissociates from its receptor and adenyl, adenylyl cyclase is shut down, CAMP levels quickly drop. This inactivates PKA and thus inhibitory 1 leading to the activation of phosphatase 1. Target cells lacking the beta adrenergic receptor but containing adenyl cyclase and and G proteins fail to respond to epinephrine and their cytosolic CAMP remains low. Purified liposomes with the receptor are incubated with these cells and fuse, incorporating the receptor to the cell surface. When exposed to epinephrine, these cells now quickly increase their cytosolic CAMP levels. Wild type and chimeric alpha and beta adrenergic receptors were expressed in xenopus oocytes. Agonist ligands, agonist ligands that bind selectively to one or other were used to determine the regions of the receptor involved in ligand binding and in interaction with the G protein. Chimera 1 acts like a beta adrenergic receptor. Chimera 2 binding the alpha agonist but still activates CAMP binds GS. Chimera 3 binds the beta agonist but inhibits CAMP binds GI. In conclusion, the C-terminal fragment is involved in ligand binding or recognition, while regions 5 and 6 interact with the G protein. Now come to lipid-derived second messenger. Activated phospholipases can convert certain cell membrane phospholipids into second messengers. Phosphatidyl inositol (PI). PI can be phosphorylated to PIP and PIP2 by different kinases that are themselves activated by G protein coupled receptors and receptor tyrosine kinases. PIP2 can be cleaved by phospholipase C, which is itself activated depending on the isoform by GPCRs and RTKS. The two products of cleavage, the lipophilic DAG and the soluble IP3, are secondary messengers in several signaling pathways. IP3 binds to a IP3 gated Ca++ channel in the ER membrane that opens upon IP3 binding, increasing cytosolic Ca++ concentrations. Now come to calcium signaling. The concentration of Ca++ is kept low in the cytosol, that is 10,000 times lower than the extracellular space, by means of Ca++ pumps that pump these ions out of the cell or into the endoplasmic reticulum. Regulated Ca++ calcium ion channels open upon different stimuli to transiently let Ca++ into the cytosol, where it serves as a secondary messenger in several signaling pathways. The latter exist in the endoplasmic reticulum of nerve cells, the sarcoplasmic reticulum of muscle cells, where upon arrival of the action potential opens to trigger calcium influence into the cytosol that results in muscle contraction. Ryanodine receptors are always in close proximity to voltage gated Ca++ channels and other voltage sensitive receptors in the plasma membrane that are involved in their activation. Ca++ is involved in a number of signaling pathways. Elevation of Ca++ levels via the inositol lipid signaling pathway involves protein kinase C. Binding of Ca++ to the kinase recruits it to the membrane, where its kinase activate is stimulated by interaction with DAG. PKC then phosphorylates a number of substrates further a, along the pathways. Ca2 plus Ca++ effects includes exocytosis of secretory vesicles, muscle contraction, or the inducement of mitosis in fertilized eggs. To trigger these responses, calcium affects a number of cellular effectors. In most cases, it does it in contraction with the calcium binding protein calmo, calmodulin. This protein is found in all eukaryotes and is widely conserved in consequence among species. When the concentration of Ca++ increases, calmodulin binds 4 calcium ions. This results in a large conformational change in the protein that increases its affinity for a number of effector proteins. Now come to receptor tyrosine kinases. Insulin signaling. Insulin signals the removal of glucose from the blood and synthesis of glycogen. The insulin receptor is a member of the tyrosine kinase superfamily, generally involved in cell growth and differentiation. The insulin signals the removal of glucose from the blood and synthesis of glycogen. The insulin receptor is a member of the tyrosine kinase superfamily generally involved in cell growth and differentiation. The insulin receptor tyrosine kinase is a tetramer of two extracellular alpha subunit and two transmembrane beta subunit with a single transmembrane region. Alpha subunits bind insulin and induce a conformational change in the beta subunits, activating their cytoplasmic kinase domain. Activated beta subunits phosphorylate one another and a variety of insulin receptor substrates. IRSS. Urticase phosphorylate only phosphotyrosine motifs. After phosphorylation, these motifs have a high affinity for SH2 domains. Interaction of phosphotyrosine motifs with SH2 proteins cause their conformational change so that they bind to other proteins or are translocated to other parts of the cell. Different SH2 proteins will activate separate signaling pathways. Activation of insulin RTKs results in transfer of glucose transporters to the plasma membrane, increase in protein synthesis, stimulation of glycogen synthesis, activation of phosphatase 1. Let's know about general RTKs, RAS, and the MAP kinase cascade. RTKs are receptors for variety of extracellular ligands, hormones, insulin growth hormone, growth factors like EGP, cytokines secreted by certain immune cells to affect others, interferons, interleukins. Most RTKs are monomers that only dimerize when bound to their ligand. Dimerization activates the kinase activity and leads to autophosphorylation, creating sites for interactions with specific effectors. A key component of the RTK cascade is RAS. RAS is small monomeric G protein with very low GTPase activity on its own. GAPs activate hydrolysis in RAS by 10 to the power 5 fold. RAS is mutated in 30% of human tumors. Most mutations block hydrolysis, keeping RAS active and the cell in a proliferative state. SH2 protein that binds to phosphorylated RTKs. It has three domains. One binds the RTK, the other binds SOS. SOS. It is a RAS-GEF. He, when recruited to membrane, it activates RAS. RAF. Let's know about RAF. RAS GTP recruits RAF, which becomes activated as a protein kinase and initiates the MAP kinase cascade. Let's know about RAS. The experimental support for placing RAS downstream from RTKs in the signaling pathway was obtained in studies of cultured fibroblasm responding to growth factors. When antibodies against RAS were microinjected into these cells, they failed to proliferate in the presence of growth factors. Microinjection of a constitutive active RAS mutant lacking GTPase activity resulted in proliferation even in the absence of growth factors. Additional studies show that addition of growth factors leads to a rapid increase in the proportion of RAS that is bound to GTP. Both biochemical and X-ray crystallographic studies have shed light on the mechanism by which SOS acts as an exchange factor for RAS. Binding of SOS to RAS changes the conformation of this protein and opens the nucleotide binding site, resulting in GDP release. Binding of the abundant GTP changes the conformation of RAS and displays SOS The switch 1 and 2 regions are those most affected in conformation by the nucleotide state. MAP kinase cascade. Mitogen activated proteins. Let's know about mitogen activated proteins. Activated by mitosis stimulating growth factor. Recruitment of RAF by activated RAS to the plasma membrane activates it as a kinase. RAF phosphorylates MAPKK phosphorylates MAPK phosphorylates transcription factors like ELK1. ELK1 activates the transcription of FOS and Jun. These proteins then make a dimer that activates the transcription of cell proliferating genes. The transcription of MAPK phosphatase MKP1 is also activated. MKP1 dephosphorylates MAPK and stops signaling. This pathway is generally used in eukaryotes for many different functions. Different types of information are transmitted thanks to the existence of different isoforms for each of the cascade proteins. The human genome encodes for 2000 kinases and 1000 phosphatases. MAP kinases in its unphosphorylated state, MAPK is inactive. It's inactive to its catalytic site blocked by the phosphorylation loop. Binding of MAPKK to MAPK and phosphorylation of a TYR and a THR threonine in the phosphorylation loop alters the conformation of the loop, allowing the binding of ATP to the catalytic site. The phosphotyrosine also contributes to the binding of MAPK substrates. In addition, the phosphorylation of the two residues in the loop region promotes dimerization of MAPK. This dimeric form can translocate into the nucleus where it regulates the activity of transcription factors. Let's know about integrin signaling. Normal cells cannot grow in suspension but need to attach to a surface that resembles the extracellular matrix in a tissue. Cells have transmembrane proteins called integrin that anchor them to materials in the ECM, that is fibronectin, collagen, proteoglycans, etc. Inter- uh, Interaction of integrin with an intracellular ligand generates a variety of signals, some essential for cell growth and differentiation. Let's know about cell signaling and apoptosis. During apoptosis, cells die in a regulated, well programmed fashion following a sequence of morphological changes. The nucleus condenses and the DNA fragments DNA fragments lost of adhesion and shrinkage of the cell blebbing, engulfment by phagocytosis. Now let's know about apoptosis. Importance of apoptosis. Billions of cells in our body die by apoptosis every day. Apoptosis is essential during development, morphogenesis, neurons, T lymphocytes. Apoptosis is used as a control against cancer development. That is regulator, adapter, effector. Presence of a trophic factor is required for survival, that is inhibition of cas- caspase activation. Absence of trophic factor leads to caspase activation and apoptosis. Relationships between the signaling pathway. Let's know about relationships between signaling pathways. A single cell has dozens of different receptors sending signals to the inside of the cell simultaneously. These signals, along with different pathways, are integrated in the cell to give rise to a coordinated response. Signaling pathways can relate to each other in different ways. First, we should know about converging signaling pathways. G protein coupled receptors, RTKs, and integrins can all relay signals that result in the recruitment to the membrane of the adaptor protein GRB2 and the activation of ARAS and the MAP kinase cascade. Diverging signaling pathways. Activation of the EGF RTK generates phosphotyrosine sites that interact with a variety of SH2 proteins, thus sending a signal down several pathways. Now let's know about nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a paracrine signaling molecule like the steroid hormones. NO is able to NO means nitric oxide is able to diffuse directly across the plasma membrane of its target cells. Nitric oxide is synthesized from the amino acid arginine by the enzyme nitric oxide synthase. Once synthesized, nitric oxide diffuses out of the cell and can act locally to affect nearby cells. One well characterized example of NO nitric oxide action is the dilation of blood vessels. The acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter, acts on endothelial cells to stimulate NO synthesis. NO then diffuses to neighboring smooth muscle cells where it interacts with iron bound to the active site of the enzyme guanylyl cyclase. This increases enzymatic activity resulting in the synthesis of the second messenger cyclic GMP, which induces muscle cell relaxation and blood vessel dilation. The Hughes-Hogg signaling pathway. Come to receptor. Patched A12 pass transmembrane protein embedded in the plasma membrane. Let's know about ligands. Secreted His-Hog proteins HH that diffuse to their targets. Mammals have three His-Hog genes encoding three different proteins. However, His-Hog was first identified in Drosophila and the Breachley phenotype produced by mutations in the gene gave rise to the name. Mechanism. In mammals, when there is no His-Hog protein present, the patched receptors bind a second transmembrane protein called smoothened SMO. However, when HH protein, capital H small h protein binds to patched, the SMO protein separates from PTC. Third point is enabling SMO to activate a zinc finger transcription factor designated GLI. GLI migrates into the nucleus when it activates a variety of target genes. His-Hog signaling plays many important developmental roles in the animal kingdom. For example, wing development in Drosophila, development of brain, GI tract, fingers, and toe in mammals. Mutations or other sorts of regulatory errors in the His-Hog pathway are associated with a number of birth defects as well as some cancers. Basal cell carcinoma, the most common skin cancer, usually has mutations causing extra high His-Hog or suppressed patched activity. Now, let's know about the notch signaling pathway. This pathway is found throughout the animal kingdom. It differs from many of the other signaling pathways discussed here. in that the ligands as well as their receptors are transmembrane proteins embedded in the plasma membrane of cells. The signaling is in this pathway requires direct cell to cell contact. Let's know about receptors. Notch proteins are single pass transmembrane glycoproteins. They are encoded by four genes in vertebrates. However, the first notch gene was discovered in a Drosophila where its mutation produced notch in the wings. Now come to ligands. Their ligands are also single pass transmembrane proteins. There are many of them are and often several versions within a family. Mechanism. When a cell bearing the ligand comes in contact with a cell displaying the notch receptor, the external portion of notch is cleaved away from the cell surface. The internal portion of the notch receptor is cut away from the interior of the plasma membrane and travels into the nucleus where it activates transcription factors that turn the appropriate gene on. It would appear that proper development of virtually all organs, example brain, immune system, pancreas, GI tract, heart, blood vessels, mammary glands depends on nose signaling. Nose signaling appears to be a mechanism by which one cell tells an adjacent cell which path of differentiation to take or not take. Defects in notch signaling have been implicated in some cancers. Example melanoma. Amplifying the signal. Protein kinase cascades. Both enzyme linked and G protein linked receptors receive signals at the surface of the cell, but as we have seen, the target cell's response rarely takes place there. In most cases, the signals are relayed to the cytoplasm or the nucleus by second messengers which influence the activity of one or more enzymes or genes and so alter the behavior of the cell. But most signaling molecules are found in such low concentration that their fusion across the cytoplasm would take a great deal of time unless the signal is amplified. Therefore, most enzyme linked and G protein linked receptors use a chain of other protein messengers to amplify the signal as it is being relayed to the nucleus. Amplification at many steps of the cell signaling process can ultimately produce a large response by the cell. One cell surface receptor, for example, may activate many G protein molecules, each of which activates a molecule of adenyl cyclase and yielding an enormous production of CAMP. Each CAMP molecule in turn will activate a protein kinase which can phosphorylate and thereby activate several copies of a specific enzyme. Each of those enzymes can then catalyze many chemical reactions, starting with 10 to the power minus 10 m of signaling molecule. One cell surface receptor can trigger the production of 10 to the power minus 6 m of one of the products, an amplification of four orders of magnitude. Bacterial and plant two component systems. Protein phosphorylation is a key mechanism for regulating signal transduction pathways in both prokaryotes and eukaryotes. In eukaryotes, regulatory phosphorylation predominantly occurs at serine, threonine, and tyrosine residues. In contrast, many signal transduction pathways in bacteria employ a uh, called two-component system that relies upon phosphorylation of histidine and aspartic acid residues. Plants also make use of two-component systems and these perform important roles in growth and development. Two component systems confer upon bacteria the ability to sense and the respond to environmental stimuli and are involved in such diverse processes as chemotaxis, osmotic sensing, oxygen sensing, and Host recognition. The system consists of two proteins, a sensor histidine kinase and a response regulator. The receptor is located in the plasma membrane of the bacterium. In response to an environmental stimulus, the histidine kinase autophosphorylates a conserved histidine residue. HK senses an extra or an intracellular signal and transmits the sensed signal to RR through phosphoryl transfer reactions. SK is a multi-domain protein composed of sensor and histidine kinase domains, and the histidine kinase domain is further divided into a dimerization and a catalytic domain. The structure and mechanism of histidine kinase domain of HK is highly conserved among TCS. In response to the sensing of an external stimuli or a ligand in the sensor domain, the special His residue in the dimerization domain is phosphorylated using ATP, which is catalyzed by the catalytic domain. HKS function in the dimeric form and the autophosphorylation reaction occur in trans manner. That is, the catalytic domain of one subunit phosphorylates his in other subunit. The phosphoryl group on the his residue is transferred to the special ASP residue in RR kinase. Phosphorylation of the response regulatory modulates its ability to mediate downstream signaling. In bacteria, many of the response regulators are transcription factors. Thus, two proteins create a signaling circuit capable of converting an external stimulus into a change in transcription. There are permutations on the two component system of particular relevance in the plant. Two component systems are multi-step phosphorylation. This make this make use of a hybrid kinase that contains histidine kinase and receiver domains in one protein, a histidine containing phosphor transfer protein and a separate response regulator. In this multi-step phosphorylase, the phosphate is transferred from amino acid to amino acid in sequence his to ASP, histidine to aspargine to histidine to aspargine. Interestingly, the canonical histidyl aspartyl phosphorylase is apparently not found in animals. Histidyl aspartyl phosphorylase. Histidine kinase domains are indicated by rectangles, receiver domains by ovals, HPT proteins by rounded rectangles, and transmembrane domains by black bars. Sites of phosphorylation upon histidine and aspartic acid residue are indicated. Simple two-component system that employs a histidine kinase and a response regulator. Multi-step phosphorylase that employs a hybrid histidine kinase with both histidine kinase and receiver domains, a histidine containing phosphotransfer protein, and a response regulator. Biological significance. Two component signal transduction systems enable bacteria to sense, respond, and adapt to a wide range of environments, stressors, and growth conditions. Some bacteria can contain up to as many as 202 component systems that need tight regulation to prevent unwanted crosstalk. These pathways have been adapted to response to a wide variety of stimuli, including nutrients, cellular redox state, changes in osmolarity, quorum signals, antibiotics, temperature osmolarity, chemoattracts, uh, chemoattractants, pH, and more. In E. coli, the ENBZ or OMP-R osmorylation system controls the differentiation expression of the outer membrane porine proteins OMP-F and OMP-C. Bacterial chemotaxis and quorum sensing. Quorum sensing is a system of stimulus and response correlated to population density. Many species of bacteria use quorum sensing to coordinate gene expression according to the density of their local population. Bacteria use quorum sensing to coordinate certain behaviors based on the local density of the bacterial population. Quorum sensing can occur within a single bacterial species as well as between diverse species and can regulate a host of different processes, in essence serving as a simple communication network. A variety of different molecules can be used as signals. Common classes of signaling molecules are oligopeptides in gram-positive bacteria, N-acyl homoserine lactone in gram-negative bacteria, and a family of autoinducers known as autoinducer 2 in both gram-negative and gram-positive bacteria. Now come to mechanism of action. Bacteria that use quorum sensing constantly produce and secrete certain signaling molecules called autoinducers or pheromones. These bacteria also have a receptor that can specifically detect the signaling molecule inducer. When the inducer binds the receptor, it activates transcription of certain genes, including those for inducer synthesis. There is a low likelihood of a bacterium detecting its own secreted inducer. Thus, in order for gene transcription to be activated, the cell must encounter signaling molecules secreted by other cells in its environment. When only a few other bacteria of the same kind are in vicinity, diffusion reduces the concentration of the inducer in the surrounding medium to almost zero, so the bacteria produce little inducer. However, as the population grows, the concentration of the inducer passes a threshold, causing more inducer to be synthesized. This forms a positive feedback loop and the receptor becomes fully activated. Activation of the receptor induces the upregulation of other specific genes, causing all of the cells to begin transcription at approximately the same time. This coordinated behavior of bacterial cells can be useful in a variety of situations, especially chemotaxis. The two component pathway that enables flagellar motor during bacterial chemotaxis. Thus, in the presence of repellent, the flagellar motion is clockwise, while in the presence of attachment, the flagellar motion is counterclockwise. When the flagella rotate counterclockwise, they are drawn together into a single bundle, which acts as a propeller to produce smooth swimming. When the flagella rotate clockwise, they fly apart and producing tumbling. The rotation of the bacterial flagellum is driven by H plus flow. Thank you.